Here we have a very simple scenario where as I click through the game, new dialogue gets added to the bottom of the window, but after a certain point, the window is not able to show all the new dialogue. We can scroll with the scroll bar, but a nice feature would be for the scroll bar to automatically scroll to the bottom when new dialogue gets added. Now this is very easy to fix. So in our screen NVL, which I copied from screen.rpi, in our viewport, we want to set the y initial to 1. And what this is going to do is that every time a viewport gets initialized, it's going to initialize its y to be 1. And 1 means that it's going to initialize at the bottom of the screen, and 0 means it's going to be initialized at the top. So if we go back to our game and reload, and go back, now every time a new dialog gets added, the scroll bar is automatically scrolling to the bottom, which is very nice. Now, even cooler feature would be for the scroll bar to smoothly scroll to the bottom. To fix this, we have to create two new variables called isScrolling, which we're going to set to false, and then another one called scroll_adjustment, which we're going to set to none. Then we're going to do a init Python section where we're going to set our isScrolling to false and scroll_adjustment to none. The reason why we do this is because every time the game reloads, we want them to be reset to these exact values. Then we're going to do a new function called smooth scroll tick, and we're going to assign the global variable to isScrolling and scroll_adjustment. And that's because we want, when we change the values of isScrolling and scroll_adjustment in this function, we want them to be changed to the global variable and not the local one that the function creates. After this, we're going to create the if case where we are going to check if we're scrolling. And if we are, we want to get the scroll_adjustment and call the function change and assign the scroll_adjustment's current value and add 10 to it. And we're going to check if the value is over our scroll_adjustment range. Then if it is, we're going to set it to false. And what range means is basically the full range of the scroll bar. So if our value is over or equals to the full height of the scroll bar, then it means we're in the bottom. And the final thing we're going to do is we're going to add a config periodic callbacks, and we're going to append this function, which is going to call smooth scroll ticks, and it's going to act like a update, which we need if you want the scroll bar to smoothly scroll to the bottom. Now in our screen, we just need to create a new Python section, and here we're going to assign again the global to our scroll_adjustment. We're going to check if we are not scrolling, and then we're going to check if the scroll_adjustment is set to none. If so, we initialize scroll_adjustment to now ui.adjustment. Then at the bottom, we're going to do another section, and here we're going to do global isScrolling, and then we're just going to set our scrolling to true. So when our screen gets called, it's going to go through and add all the dialogue to the window, and then at the end, that's when we want the scrolling to begin. Now the last thing we need for this to work is to replace the y initial with y adjustment, and then call scroll_adjustment. If we go back to the game and reload, it's working. If we go back a few steps and then try again, you can see that the scroll bar is smoothly moving to the bottom, which is super nice. But one thing you can notice is that it scrolls to the bottom in the same speed, no matter how many dialogues there are or how big the space it has to move. So a neat little extra string we can add is in our scroll_adjustment. When we call change, instead of 10, we can call scroll_adjustment.step. A step, it's a dynamic value that changes based on how much space the scroll bar has. So it's going to have different speeds depending on how many elements it has in. So you can see here now it's a bit more snappier. And it moves in different speeds depending on where it is, its location. Now, one thing I want to mention about the change, the good thing about the scroll adjustment is that we assign it here, and then when you call change, it will automatically update the UI for anywhere where it's assigned, which is a very good thing because then we don't have to deal with the UI ourselves. Instead, it just does it on its own. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.